What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning View. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Thursday, 23rd of November. A lot to talk about today. You guys know the drill, though. You know the drill by now. Smash the like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. If you are new, excuse me, a little bit of a gremlin there. Subscribe to the channel.
I'm always like that in the morning as well.
You know what I mean? Yeah, just get the.
Sometimes you try and fight it as well. The worst one is when you try and fight it and then you get the whole weird voice of going,
Yeah, and it just gets all grumbly and muffly. It gets a bit Sean Dyche or Angie.
Yeah.
Just a bit. Yeah. But yes, I like Quavy says, good morning, people. Good morning to everybody. Yam says, yo, a reckless delegate in the building. Somebody just said, who was the reckless delegate? It's Keith Thomas. So yes, big up to everyone this morning. Hope you're doing well. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know how you're feeling. Fully into basically club football now. We're in there. You know, interviews are coming out. Players are returning from injury. You know, more rumors about players as well, which always seems to happen in general. We're going to be talking about injury updates, man. Injury returns. Obviously, it was such a great sight to see Luke Shaw. Obviously the way it gets celebrated, and you know, even Man United themselves making a big deal of it. So that's interesting. Martinez back on the grass as well, which is very good to see. Also going to be talking about Casemiro Saudi exit potentially, and everything else in between. So much to get into. Where is the announcement, says Rahman? Listen.
It's not today.
Yeah, it's not today. Anyway,
it's not today. But importantly, for those that are in the USA, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because, of course, that's why the announcement is not today, because it's the Thanksgiving holiday. It's the holiday season, the beginning of the holiday season in the US. So if you are watching from the East Coast or the West Coast or somewhere in between, happy Thanksgiving to all those who celebrate. Hope you have a good day and enjoy your turkey.
Absolutely. Big up, man. Keith Thomas says YouTube doing a madness. It's all right for us here from what we're seeing on the output. So don't know if it's just Keith, but maybe just do a light refresh. Hopefully everything's all good. West London in the building, says Julian. And it's a sure thing, says just Kevin. Like what you done there, mate. Like what you done there. But on that, the updates, Owen.
Yes, so we got a couple of injury updates as well. As we've been saying this season, it's been a bit of a revolving door, hasn't it, when it comes to injuries? Couple in, couple out. But Manchester United revealed yesterday they've received a major boost ahead of the return to Premier League action Sunday at Goodison Park, with Luke Shaw back in training. The cameras at Carrington captured images of the left back working with the main group in advance of Sunday's game against Everton, which of course is a 4:30 kickoff, Super Sunday. But he wasn't the only person there. Now, whilst Lisandro Martinez didn't participate in training, he was back on the grass. There were pictures of him watching his teammates train at Carrington as he continues with the early stages of his recovery from a foot injury. It was really just, I think, a couple of weeks ago, he was spotted out with the Manchester United team in Manchester out and about for some kind of event or function, and he still had a protective boot on at the time. But yesterday he was back out on the grass and was doing, they're saying, sort of light recovery work. Of course, this has been nearly, I mean, when did he actually hurt his foot? It was April. So I don't know how many months that's been. It's like 9 months, something like that.
May. Was it May? Yeah, because it was in the Sevilla first leg, wasn't it?
Yeah, April.
Yeah.
Would you count April? When you count, do you count April as the first month, or do you just go May? Because this is what always gets me.
Yeah, no, I think you got to count some of it because there's been weeks in that April. It's just not the whole thing.
Yeah, April, May, June, July, August, September. And I know technically came back, but September, October, November, basically near in December. So it's like 9 months, 8 to 9 months, with a little bit of a comeback in between.
For like 3 or 4 games.
Exactly, and he's had 2 surgeries on that foot, but now he's beginning the road to recovery. Won't expect him back anytime soon. Don't expect Bleach to be back for Sunday or anything like that. I mean, Ten Hag did say in his last press conference that Martinez and Casemiro he didn't expect back before Christmas. But you're in that sort of weird territory when you say that, because it's a bit like when, you know, you're in April and they go, he's out for the rest of the season. People go, the rest of the season? And you go, it's like 2 weeks to the end of the season. Yeah. So when they go, he's not going to be back before Christmas, people go, Christmas? And you go, hey, it's nearly the end of November, mate. It's not that, it's not that long away or anything like that. So,
yeah.
Exactly. So hopefully he'll be back. But to be honest, earlier than I thought he'd be back. I was thinking he might be back.
At least on the grass,
yeah, I thought he might be, out until like March or something like that. But if they're saying, he's not going to be back training maybe before Christmas, possibly he might be back late January, maybe early Feb, something like that, which is pretty good going. But Shaw's the key one. Now, the question is, Flex, do you think he'll start on Sunday? Do you think he'll go straight back in? Do you think it's a Wan-Bissaka kind of situation? Or do you think they'll be a bit more careful?
They obviously have to be really careful, because these batch of games that we've got coming up, and just in general, if we want to keep him healthy so that he can be the starting left back or left centre back, where he's going to be, but be in our back line, starting and making it a better team, which he does do by coming back. We have to manage it carefully. I know we've been frustrated that he hasn't played. I know that there's technically a rush to get him back. Really, it's a rush to get all of our players back who have been out quickly, because we haven't had a full complement. We haven't had a full set of players to pick from, and Eric Ten Hag clearly would like to have that ASAP. So I understand all of that, but he can't be naive. He can't be quite silly with it and trying to rush people back and take risks that we don't need to take. We haven't managed the best because we haven't played well and results and things like that, but we've just about got through. Just about. You know what I mean? If you think about it, especially in the league, like, what was it? We've won the last 4 out of 5. Hasn't been great. The performance hasn't been amazing, but that by doing that means you've survived. It means you got through. We could have had all them injuries and lost 4 out of the last 5, which, that would be a completely different. I mean, Ten Hag might not even be here if that happened. Who knows? So we have to remember that we have struggled through. So if you have to struggle through one more fixture to give him that extra week, full week of team training. Well, I say full week because you've got to go to Galatasaray on, was it Wednesday? So
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And then you're already looking at it like we want Luke Shaw to play as much as possible because these games are really difficult. So you still have to ease him back a little bit. Maybe you start him against Everton. He has to come off 60th minute, 70th minute, maybe. Then he can get a start again at Galatasaray. Might not be able to play the whole game. I don't know. But it depends how fit he is. Depends how he's responded to his... Did he have surgery? What happened to him again?
They just described it as a muscular injury. I don't think he had, I don't think he had surgery.
So yeah. It depends how it is. They have to see. Also, he might have a reaction after the first game, after the Everton game. It might be a bit of swelling or a bit of a overcompensating because he's been out for a while, or anything can happen. So I do believe we've got to try and get him back in as quickly as possible. I would start him if he's if he can start, and then see how long he can do and get him off, rather than try and bring him on into a high octane game, try and match the pace of it. That might be quite difficult unless we're like 2-0 up, cruise control, and it's like 15 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go. But you don't normally make changes to your back line like that. So
it is a difficult one, isn't it? Because I was just thinking then, like, which game is the better game to bring him back in? But you're looking at 2 away fixtures that are super intense. Like, there's no easy game to ease him back in, really, is there, over the next couple? They're away fixtures, they're intense, they're going to be battles. And you're looking at going, if he has no part to play against Everton, do you really then just go, right, we're going to just start him against Galatasaray away from home in the Champions League? He hasn't played for months. That's a bit of a drop straight back in. But it's not as if he's not an experienced player, so he should be able to handle it, right? But there's one thing mentally being able to handle it. It's physically being able to handle it as well. And that would be quite intense. And maybe, like you said, there might be a part of it where they think, I'd really ideally like him to get some minutes before playing away at Galatasaray in a Champions League game that we have to win. And historically, we don't win that game as well. So I don't know. But then we were saying that about, like I said, about Wan-Bissaka coming back from the hamstring injury. Oh, what's he going to happen? He went straight back in, near enough. I mean, he came on, didn't he, against Newcastle. Was that the first time he'd come on? Or did he play before that?
Who, Wan-Bissaka?
Yeah.
No, the first time he came back was against Newcastle at halftime. That was his first game back.
Yeah. And then he started the next one, didn't he?
Then he played Copenhagen.
Yeah.
And then he played Fulham.
Yeah.
Then he played Copenhagen. Then he was ill against Luton.
Yeah, I think that's right. So what I'm saying is that he might come on as a sub against Everton. He might come on as a sub against Everton, and maybe he does start against Galatasaray. Maybe that's the way that they'll do it. Either way, look, it's a big return. I know when you talk about Luke Shaw, then people would start getting into, why are you overhyping him or gassing him up? He's been here for like nearly a decade and he's only had
Can
a
we
couple
talk
of
about
good
that
seasons
just
and
really
all that kind of
quickly?
stuff. Go
What?
ahead, Flex.
How do you feel about Luke Shaw? Because it has been up and down. There has been like a couple of standout seasons, but some really average ones.
Yeah.
Loads of injuries. I would say he's never fulfilled his full potential at Man United, as many haven't, with what we thought we were getting. But when he's at it, he's a very, very competent footballer. Very strong, good in a tackle, quite a steady player. Know what you're going to get. Good in his duels, can drive forward. Doesn't get as many as assists as we'd like, which again, the new age football we want. Wan-Bissaka and Dalot, where's the assist? They're not crossing balls and we don't score. I'm not saying he's chief creator. He isn't that. But he's shown things where he can create. He's shown things where he can get assists. What do you like? Just the assessment on Luke Shaw. Just wanted to ask. It is true.
This is when I get into shades of grey. So
do we need better?
Yeah. So this is my point with all this kind of stuff. I think you're allowed to have Luke Shaw come back and you're allowed to be happy that he is back by going, we'll play better when Luke Shaw is back because he's our best left back. We don't have a better left back at Manchester United currently than Luke Shaw. Last season, he was really important with how he played. He played really, really well under Erik ten Hag. He didn't start the season great last season. Not a lot of people did, but he got better. Physically, he transformed. We saw that. And he had one of his better seasons. Now, could we do better than Luke Shaw? It's sort of in the market. Could we get a better left back, a more consistent left back, a more physically healthy left back? Yes. Is it on the docket for sort of priorities in upcoming transfer windows? Probably not. Realistically, there are other more pressing positions that we need to focus on. But if you ask me, if in the next transfer window, a top I say world class, but a left back that you looked at and you said, actually, in a couple of years' time, could be one of the best left backs in the world, would you get him? Yeah, absolutely. Because I really look at the majority of the positions at United and go, we could do better. We could. That's where we are. That's why we're in the position that we're in. But at the same time, I'm not going to put down his ability because I've said, this is why I've been saying recently when he comes back, for me, I don't even know if he plays left back. I'd put him in as left centre back because he's still, with Martinez out, is there anyone better on the ball than Luke Shaw, technically? Another defender that has got the technical capabilities that he has? Probably not. I mean, if anything, it's a credit to him that we're talking about a left back or centre back because the problem is if you played him centre back, you go, actually, though, he puts good crosses in the box, good service, got a decent link up with Rashford. I mean, people are hinging Rashford form on the back that Luke Shaw isn't there, going, well, if Luke Shaw plays, maybe Rashford will be a bit better. So there's no doubt he's a quality player. I do agree with what people are saying when they go, it is kind of wild. He's been there a decade. And actually, when you do look at it, if you're talking consistency over, when did he come? 2015, something like that. So it's like 8 years.
15, yeah.
So consistency over 8 years. So that's when you go into like people that could replace him. You go, well, there are better people out there. There are more consistent people out there, certainly. But you can't put down his quality. And I don't think there's anything wrong with him being back and celebrating that he's coming back because not that he's going to turn United into this, undefeated juggernaut, but you're going to play better when your better players are back. Hopefully. Anyway, what do you think about his
I agree. You have to sort of separate the two. Like, he makes us a way better football team. He's one of our most competent defenders, if not in terms of all-round game, if I'm being honest. In terms of all-round game. I know he's versatile, so he can play left centre-back and left-back, but Martinez is like what he gives you, like on the ball, like progressing the ball and, how good he is on the ball with his distribution and stuff like that. He's not as assertive as a defender as Luke Shaw. No chance. Like, and that's in 1v1s. That's in reading danger. That's in heading. That's in every department as a defender, as like the defensive side of the game. Luke Shaw's better than Martinez for me. I think Martinez excels over Shaw with, how we want to play on the front foot and, how he is on the ball. So he gives us a different dynamic where both of them are really important to what we want to do. Luke Shaw on the side of him, it's very important that he has someone like Luke Shaw covering, and helping. That Martinez has that help. It was important that it was Varane, probably not going to be anymore, but Varane next to him helping. Do you know what I mean? So defensively, I think Shaw's the most competent. Like, he's very strong. Not many people get past him as well. I know, like 1v1, Wan-Bissaka's, he's got that locked. But Luke Shaw overall is good. And his calmness on the ball, I think he's calm. He doesn't panic often. Quite rarely does he get caught out of position. You know, he's got good recovery pace. Obviously, anyone can get done. But by and large, you know what you're getting with him. And he's calm and confident on the ball. So I do think he's good. But then, like you said, when it comes back to people disagree and saying Martinez is clear, completely disagree. You've had a howler here, Flex. Fair play.
What did you say? You said defensively.
Yeah,
That
so defensively,
Shaw
Luke
is
Shaw's
better.
better than. Who do you guys think's a better defender then? I know you can say, well, they're both defenders, so overall as a player, you pick Martinez. But who do you as a defender, who would you prefer in duels and like not getting
I
rinsed?
think it's quite interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting one because you look at, for instance, when we played Man City at Old Trafford last season, Luke Shaw, along with Rafael Varane, but Haaland pulled off onto the smaller defender because he would. Luke Shaw dealt with Erling Haaland fairly easily. And we've also seen Lisandro Martinez. We've seen him, mark players out the game. We've also seen Martinez really struggle with players in certain games. I mean, that with Salah at Anfield, like that was a horror show, realistically.
Yeah.
It depends what you're looking for. I know this is a very on the fence answer, but it depends what you're looking for. I mean, the problem is with Luke Shaw is that he can be, or the perception is of him that he's quite soft, isn't it? That's the problem, Whereas Martinez, in a big game, in a battle, you'd be like, I'll have that over Luke Shaw. I will. But with Luke Shaw, I can't say Luke Shaw is a better technical player than Martinez as well, because some of the situations that Martinez has found himself in last season, some of those pass outs from David De Gea and managing to get out of trouble is a different question. But you ask me who's a better defender. That's a really tough question, Would
you still say Would you still say Martinez?
I think if I'm building a back four that can challenge for a title, and you're telling me that I can only include one of Martinez or Shaw, I probably lean into having Martinez over Shaw.
Yeah, but is that at left back? Because obviously Luke Shaw is a left back, so it is a bit different. Yeah. I'm not saying that Luke Shaw is better in Martinez's position than he is out and out.
But what constitutes as a better defender?
I personally would just trust Shaw more in like duels and like not getting the better of you and stuff like that. Like Leisha does bring the bite. He does. Someone says he brings, he brings bite. But sometimes I think he's over.
So you're leaning into more composure. You're maybe leaning.
Yeah, he's got better composure. Yeah, he's got better composure. People think like,
but I would say one-on-one. I'd say one-on-one, and you're talking duels, and you're talking about 90 minutes, and again a battle where you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. I'd probably edge Martinez in that aspect. I think what's funny with Martinez is him this season when he did play, I think it's clouded a lot of people's judgment on him because they're like, see, I told you he wasn't good. But it's like, but he shouldn't have been playing. Like he had no business being on the pitch. I mean, I remember watching him in the early stages of the season coming on shows like this and going, I'm telling you now, Fleck, there is something wrong with Lisandro Martinez. And I remember at the time, people in the comments go, no, and they wouldn't clear him if the medical department wouldn't clear him. Like you could tell physically there was something off about him, and I do think that's clouded people's judgment of I had reservations, or Jamie Carragher. I told you he wasn't good, but guy was playing with 1 foot basically. And last season, nobody can doubt his quality. He was excellent last season, and he was really, really key and critical of how we're playing. So like I said, if you said that you've got to build a back four that can compete for a Premier League title, but it can only include either Shaw or Martinez, I would include Martinez over Shaw. Again, it's a bit of an apples to oranges comparison. One's at left back, one's centre back. But actually, maybe the comparison is kind of in the same way because Martinez used to be a left back. That kind of was converted.
Yeah, he did.
Centre back.
Yeah,
I'll put a poll.
Yeah, put a poll. I mean, it's clear to see from the chat. People are favouring Martinez. That's what it's about. It's about opinion. Scar says, "Stop it. Shaw is quality. He looked just as good as Martinez at left centre back at times last season. I agree with that. You say we need better, but who is better? Yeah, I do agree. We need better than Shaw. I can get behind that. We need better and better right backs, better left backs. We need better. We need better. I do agree. All Elite says 10 years and 2 good seasons is not good enough. So not feeling the Shaw situation. Matty Farley says Shaw is good, but it's overhyped, as if all of a sudden we play total football. Defo missed though for sure. I think he's injury prone now too. Yeah, he's had so many injuries, hasn't he? So many.
That's
injuries.
a problem, isn't it? It's the injuries, and again, a couple of them haven't been his fault. Like when he broke his leg and the comeback from the broken leg, and the unfortunate thing is that season he was playing really well. That was Van Gaal's second season, I think it was, and he was playing really, really well, and he suffered that. And that an injury like that not only sets you back, but with the recovery. But even then, when he came back and was playing, he was off for a while, wasn't it? You could tell. But like I said, that's when you get into the shades of grey territory where it's okay to praise and criticize. You know what I mean? It's not just he's either really good or he's really, really bad. We either don't need him or we really, really need him. He's critical to the team. Luke Shaw is our best left back at the club. He's one of our best technical players, one of our best technical defenders. But at the same time, could we do better? Yeah.
Yeah. No, we have to. Exactly. Aminor says, Flex, I swear I had a dream I met you and KG for lunch. Oh, that's nice.
What would you and KG have if you went for lunch? When you go out?
Nando's. Go to the calf, maybe. Jacket potato, tuna. You might get an omelette. Yeah. Something like that. I haven't really been to lunch loads of times with KG, to be fair.
He always brings his own food. He usually brings a pack.
Yeah.
He's very much into his soup at the moment, or something like that. Yeah, he's KG's very, very healthy at the moment. He's putting all of us to shame.
Yeah, which is good. That's what we like to see. Sainsbury's meal deal. Yeah, Tesco meal deal could easily be that.
Don't even on that.
Yeah, all the time. And I think it's unanimous. I think it's fair to say 81% of you are going for Martinez, and 19% of you are going for Luke Shaw. So I am in the vast minority.
I have a question though. Well, I don't have a question. This comes from Rich. Big up Rich in the chat. Says, are there even that many left backs in the world better than Shaw though? We want more, but not sure more is out there ATM.
Well, is Shaw better than Zinchenko?
It's an interesting question. Zinchenko is more consistent in terms of being available. Well, I'd say that. Zinchenko gets injured a bit.
Is Shaw better than Zinchenko, chat? Just want to ask.
Zinchenko's won Premier League titles.
He has.
The one thing I will say with Zinchenko, to give him credit, is that when he went to Arsenal last season, there was a noticeable difference. Like a noticeable, they're properly good play, a good team.
Yeah, well, because of the technical way of how he plays and how he comes in. But everyone in the chat is saying Shaw is better. That's almost unanimous. Everyone's saying that Shaw is better than him. So there's one. Is he better than Robertson?
I was going to bring up Robertson earlier on. I know he's injured at the moment, but if you're talking consistency, I would have Andrew Robertson over Luke Shaw. Yes. I would.
Yeah.
And assist. And thinking of the assist that he's got, all that kind of stuff. I would have Andrew Robertson over Luke Shaw. I know that's blasphemous, Liverpool.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Is he better than Ben Chilwell?
Now, that is an interesting one because Chilwell might be even worse when it comes to injuries than Luke Shaw. And you could say on his day, Chilwell might be better. But you know what? I'm taking Luke Shaw over Ben Chilwell.
Yeah, agreed. What other left backs are good in the league? Who's is he better than?
I know, sorry to interrupt, but I know people will say like with Chilwell, well, he plays for England over Shaw, but how often?
Not really. No, when Shaw's fit and go, sure.
Luke Shaw scored in the Euros final.
Yeah, on par. Is he better than Cucurella?
Yeah, he's better than Cucurella.
100%. Is he better than Udogie?
Well, this is a bit of the shiny new toy principle, isn't it? Because you'll hear those people, no, he's way better. But let's see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw Fuad on DR, and this was, earlier this season, after like one game, he was like, in a year's time, did he say like top 3 left backs in the world?
He said it'd be top. Yeah, he did. Yeah. That was after like 3 or 4 games. Yeah, he did say that. But anyway, it's good to do those sorts of things. I like doing that. But we await, sorry, for them to come back in their full entirety. Both of them, actually, who do make us better together. Martinez at left centre back, Luke Shaw at left back. That's what we need, and that's what we need ASAP. We can get into the little intricacies of this, but what we all can agree on is both of them make us way better than we are now.
Yes.
Scar
what
says,
a hot take, getting your best players back. You might play better.
Exactly. Scars says, list 3 better alternatives to Shaw in the market. A lot of people obviously say Theo Hernandez, Estepinian. That's 2 names that everyone's talking about. Obviously, Alphonso Davies isn't in the market.
Sometimes it's the player, though, and this is the thing with when you're fans as well. Sometimes it's the players that you don't know, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like we always say, you want to look for the next left back. You want to find that left back that's like 22, 23 that maybe you haven't heard of, was ready for the step up. That's what the recruitment division is for. But I mean, if you're talking about future transfer windows, is he a priority? We've got to get a new left back. No. I mean, at the moment, we've got 3.
Exactly. Officer of the Watches says, Galatasaray fan here. Galatasaray will beat you in Istanbul. Lovely. Thank you. Maybe you will. Hot take. Casemiro Saudi exit. We've got 122 likes, nearly 900 people watching. Let's get sharing, let's get liking, let's get up to 1,000 people watching. Just hit share it in your group chat, share it to your friends, send it to them in iMessage or whatever, email them, send it around the office, let them know United View are live.
Go on, Bebo, put it on their wall or something like that. You know what I mean?
Post it to Facebook, just share it.
Go on MSN.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get up to 1,000 people watching live. And let's get up to 200 likes if we can. Right. So what's going on with this Casemiro Saudi link?
Yes. So this comes from, now I'm terrible with the pronunciation. Is it Relevo? Is that what it is? Relevo?
I go with Relevo.
Relevo. Anyway, big outlet saying that Casemiro is beginning to consider his future. He is thinking about the possibility of moving to Saudi Arabia in the summer, partly due to the decline of Manchester United this season. Manchester United, though, do not want Casemiro to leave. They hope to convince him to stay for 1 or 2 more years. But if a good offer comes in and Casemiro asks to leave, they will not oppose it. He does not rule out staying, as he does not want to leave the team stranded. So maybe it's a case of Casemiro's head being turned a little bit now, thinking actually, a bit like maybe what the fans are saying, actually, Flex, where he takes a look around and takes the pulse of the situation and goes, this is a bit of a bigger project than maybe I thought. And not that I'm not good enough for it, because I still back my own quality, but it's going to take a lot of time. And maybe I'm not sort of right for this, maybe I'll have to consider it, because United aren't that team that is going to be competing for the Premier League really anytime soon, or going to be competing for a Champions League anytime soon. But at the same time, according to this, United would want to, even this is interesting, United would want to keep him, but if an offer comes in that's good, they'll take it. Which is kind of what we've been saying, isn't it? That if the right offer comes in, and it'll be a Saudi offer, let's face it, it's not going to be from probably anywhere else.
He's perfect for Saudi. That's the exact profile.
Exactly.
Him and Varane are perfect for Saudi. Big names, maybe not in their pomp, but will draw crowds and fit in with the other big names there quite well. And they're still, got quality as well. It's perfect for Saudi. I think I do think if the right environment or the right circumstances arise with that, I don't think Man United will be able to turn it down, and I don't think Casemiro will be able to turn it down. What I would say is Casemiro was aware of how bad Man United were or are before he came. Hence, that whole "I'll fix it" thing. So I'm not saying like, I want his divine loyalty. How are you going to leave us after a year? Because essentially, if we can get a get out of it and it makes sense, I would do it. This isn't about, I really want to have Casemiro for longer, because let's just be honest, the longer he stays, the more he's going to decline. Let's just be real about that. I think even though he's injured now and he started off, he's our top scorer at one point, which wasn't hard to be. You could just see little things, the way he gets about the pitch. If we truly want to build that combative midfield and be on the front foot, and it's not going to consist of Casemiro. It's not. It isn't. You can see he looked way off it. And I'm not saying he become a bad player just over the summer and that's it. He's rubbish because you come back, he's still got a big part to play. He's still an important player in this moment, but there's no future in that. There's no trying to reconstruct and revamp what we're trying to do. It's just another plaster. And if you take him into a third year on that money, it's like, what's the longevity in that? There's no sense in it, which goes back to the original transfer, which by the time he leaves, you'll go, was that transfer a success? We're going to end up saying no, because we'll say he was good in the first year. Second year was indifferent. We might get to a third year and it'll be, again, 3 years in from the Casemiro we first bought is definitely declined. So, yeah, I think, again, for these types of players, for Rafa and for Casemiro, if the right offer comes in from Saudi, we need to be accepting it, man. We need to be accepting it and drawing a line under those types of signings now. The big names, or can do a job for a season and see where we go after. I get you can't buy all kids. I do always say that you need some people who are ready now. I do get that. So you can have a couple, like one short term in there or one experienced player. Sometimes that happens, but for us, we don't just get an experienced player where they can just be there, relatively low cost, not going to be on much wages, good for the dressing room. It's all or nothing with Man United. It's Casemiro, it's 5-year deal, it's 350 grand a week. Well, then you've just made him pretty much the most important player of the club instantly. You've just invested into someone who there's not much longevity and made them one of the most significant players at the club. Now, I know he is in stature because of what he's won in his past career, but in terms of our rebuild, that isn't necessarily always the right thing. And that's where Sir Jim and the people that are coming in, that's going to be one of the things that has to change for me.
Do you think when you talk about the decline of Manchester United and you say, oh, but he knew that coming into it sort of thing, do you think it is a case though of him thinking, because before he came, he still looked at it and went, look, they finished 6th last season and they didn't start the season well, but at that time, Ronaldo's still there, Varane's there, got a new manager like, it can't be that bad. And maybe it's a case of him actually being there. And maybe a bit like the Ronaldo situation, when you're actually there for 12 months or so, and you see things, and Ronaldo's left, and Varane's probably leaving, and all the stuff going on. When you're talking about the decline, maybe it's sort of the wrong way of putting it. Maybe him, like I said earlier on, just seeing actually what the project actually is and what the current circumstances actually are, and looking at the
forecast as well, where you think it's about to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's more chaos coming. There's going to be more disruption. I don't need this at this stage of my career.
And there have been reports, the guy that's going to buy 25% singled me out. It's not like a vendetta, but he singled me out as like a bad investment. What are you doing? Like, maybe it's just this isn't actually the fit I thought it was. Maybe I'm just not right for this sort of project. Do you think maybe it's a bit of that as well?
Yeah, you can't ignore that. You definitely can't ignore that. Someone at Casemiro's age, at this part of his career, is always going to be open to things. He's not. I don't think he's going to sign his life away to Man United and stay here till he retires. And Saudi's a really attractive proposition. Obviously, don't know him personally, so I don't know that that's his wish to go there. I can't go that far, but those things that you said are viable things. They really are. It's different when you arrive somewhere, especially at this club, with how quickly things change, and now there's even more change coming. So I think we'd be naive to sort of throw that out and say, nah, it definitely isn't that. Do you know what I mean? Because also the security that he can get from going to Saudi, because he's got security here at Man United. He's probably got 4 more years left at 300 grand a week. That's security, okay? But if he wants to leave with the situation he's in, he himself would know as well. If I want to do something a bit different, Saudi's probably going to be the only one who can even get me out of this contract or make it easy or possible for that to happen. So yeah, I don't see him as a player who's like going to down tools and have a bad, nothing like that. He's an ultimate pro. You don't achieve what he's achieved in his career. Do you know what I mean? If you're not a top level pro with a good attitude. Same with Varane. He's in a position he never thought he'd find himself in, but he ain't going to down tools and become problematic and put statements out and just be quite toxic. That's not going to happen. But with him and Casemiro, because they have been through so much in their career and won near enough everything there is to win as a footballer, for club and country. Casemiro won the World Cup, but you get my gist. Pretty much everything. it's like it's about moving on, and if it breaks down, you find a way to move on. And I just think that those players are capable of doing that, and Saudi is the outlet for that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think I mean, you saw it when he covered all of the transfer shows for Sky, and hearing from those sort of Saudi sources and how they operate, it'll be a similar thing. You'd say it's a pretty safe bet come the summer. Their list of players that they'll go after, Casemiro likely will be on that list. He's a player that would fit in that list. That's not to say whether they'll get him or not, because there was a lot of players they didn't get last summer, but there is a list of people that they'll go after and they believe is attainable. And also, given the summer that they had, the Saudi Pro League, there'll be players that their heads would have been turned off. Well, maybe not right now, but next year, maybe I have a look at that. Maybe I do one more season at this club, and then if an offer comes in, or I tell my agent, go and talk to him, go see if you can figure that out. Now, I don't even think Casemiro would do that. And would I be shocked if come the end of next summer, Casemiro? Well, that's a good question. Like, if I put a poll in the chat, actually, the end of next summer, will Casemiro be a Manchester United player or not?
The end of next summer. What the next summer that we get?
Yeah, this upcoming summer transfer window.
Right.
Come the end of it, will Casemiro be a Manchester United player? If I was to vote in the poll, yeah, I'd probably vote no.
Yeah,
at this point,
I don't think he will, especially as well because the changes will happen as well, and I don't think it'll align with what they want to do. And I think the right offer will arrive as well from Saudi. No. Jan, maybe summer. No. Casemiro definitely leaving after this season, says the numbers Mason. I clicked Shaw by mistake, count that out. Says BSP. Varane and Casemiro will both go to Saudi, says Show. Sell in the summer, says Lil Yo-Yo. We need a new squad. Sell anyone to Saudi that Saudi wants, says Al Mac. Yeah, so a lot of people saying no, which you can see. Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, 60, yeah, early lead, 65%, 65% sort of saying no, he won't be here. And I look, and I think that is a safe bet. It is. Maybe it might not be Saudi, but I think there's a good chance it will be. Innit?
Yeah, well, financially, you do look at, and again, this is where United have shot themselves in the foot when it comes to these kind of things. Like you said earlier on, who can get that guy out of that contract and give him either a similar amount or even more, and it would be the Saudi Pro League. I mean, if he went back to Spain, he's not going anywhere that's not Real Madrid. It probably in his mind, he's an icon there of everything that he won. He's not getting that money in Italy. I mean, he could go maybe PSG. I mean, you could maybe see Casemiro at a PSG, perhaps.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when it comes to like Casemiro and Rafael Varane, I've said this before, like, there's still no doubting their quality. They're still top quality players, and on their best day, they're still better than really anyone we've got in that position. If they're at their peak, if they're at their best. And it's not to say that they couldn't even thrive in the Premier League, because obviously we've seen them play well in the Premier League. Put it this way, if you had them if Pep had them at Man City at the moment, they'd be you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they'd be in a team that's very comfortable. They'd be playing with really quality players. There's stability there. It's just for Man United where we are. And I saw people in the chat going, "Oh, what's the project?" I mean that maybe Casemiro perhaps came in thinking that, but like they said in the thing yesterday, Erik ten Hag allegedly, pushed his players quite, intensely in pre-season because he thought we were going to build upon last season, finishing third place, get into 2 cup finals, win a trophy. Thought, okay, we're going to make a similar step and maybe not win the league, but we'll be closer to challenging. And maybe that's what sort of the project that was sold to Casemiro. You come in 2-3 years time, we're thinking we can really compete for the league. And after being here for 12 months, he's like, actually, that's going to be a bit longer than I thought. And actually, they've got new people coming in to buy into the club, and they might be going in a different, younger, less expensive direction. And do I fit into that kind of profile realistically? And as we've said, we need to sort of stop. And this isn't an indictment on Casemiro's quality or ability or his achievements, but we've just got to stop making those kind of signings. That sort of go to Real Madrid, go to Bayern Munich, go to PSG, whoever it may be, and be like, they've been really, really good for them. And we'd have really wanted them like 3 or 4 years ago. Now we can get them. They're going to be good for us. And they might be for like a year. But where are they in 3 or 4 years' time? What are we doing in 3 or 4 years' time? What's the bigger picture? What's the longer term strategy? And there hasn't been one at United. There isn't a longer term picture. There isn't a bigger strategy or wider thinking at play. But there needs to be. And I don't know if there's going to be one with INEOS, but you've got to hope. You've got to hope that's the case, because if not, we're just going to be in the same position now in 10 years' time that we were right now. So not to put down Varane and Casemiro as quality, but we can label those players, those type of players that we've signed over the last decade or so, can't we? Of those, just quick, let's get them in.
They'll be part of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, they'll add into the last 10 years. I remember when we got Varane for a couple of years. We even had Casemiro for a couple of years. Get like a combined 9 Champions Leagues between them.
Schweinsteiger. We got Schweinsteiger, and it's great.
Exactly.
Remember Ed Woodward? I think if any team has bashed in Schweinsteiger in it, and again, not doubting Schweinsteiger's ability, but everyone realised, like, after a season, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, what are we doing with that? Of all of the strikers that we brought in for like a year, and some of them were still good. Ibra came in, great. But what are we doing? Cavani, great. But what are we doing?
That was proper.
A great shirt salads though, and they're great names. So if we got any of those players in their prime, Radamel Falcao, it doesn't matter if both his knees are gone. Bring him in, get him in. And again, great players. And when you talk about these players in terms of their career, you always laud them as fantastic players because they were, but not at the time that you brought them in for Manchester United, because by that point it was like, well, they're on the way down, and we're not having them for 10 years or anything like that. Realistically, can you build on that? And they've shown evidence that we just can't. We just can't do that.
Yeah. Truth Engraved says, I need Varane, Casemiro and Sancho to be gone in January. I'll be happy even without replacements. It'd mean the summer would defo be interesting. I don't think we can afford to leave ourselves that light, can we? I don't think so. Well, the Sancho thing's got to happen, but basically saying get rid of Casemiro and Varane without replacements. And Truth Engraved saying at least you make the summer interesting. Even if we don't replace them, it's just a start. I mean, if Varane and Casemiro came out of our team,
what, right now?
Yeah, from now to the end of the season, we would be leaving ourselves short with the injuries. And
I don't think we'd do it. I don't think we'd do that. I think, because to be honest, like we saw it in the summer, for instance, like when the club thought that Maguire was maybe going to go, like they did have replacements lined up. Like Pavard to United was a real thing.
It was a real thing.
It was a real thing. So if they were to go, one of them was to go in January, I would have some kind of faith that they probably bring in a replacement because FFP would allow them to, do that. But I don't know if United would be doing that. I could see, for me, if you're going to say, actually, the chat can put this as well. What are your January predictions? Realistically, what are your January predictions? Because for me, it's Sancho goes. I'm still leaning to it actually not being permanent, maybe a loan with obligation or mandatory buy or something like that. And I do think we'll probably get a replacement in for him. Who that looks like, I don't know. But that's kind of my January prediction. I mean, I know some have said like maybe a striker or maybe like a centre-back. Maybe. But I look at Sancho going and we're getting a replacement. I suppose it doesn't necessarily have to be a right winger. It could be a striker, perhaps. But that's kind of my January prediction. And I think those bigger ones, your Casemiro's, Varane's, I think they'll probably go in the summer.
Yeah, 181 likes on the video. So if we can get that up to 200, that would be amazing. Just under 900 people watching as well. So big up to everyone who is watching. The INEOS announcement details. There has been a little bit of news today. I think United District were going with it as well. Just about conflict of interest, which we already knew with the UEFA thing. If Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns a certain percentage in INEOS, then it means that Man United and Nice both can't be in the Champions League at the same time. If one of them would have to be in the Conference League, one would have to be in the Champions League. It's the only way it could be done, unless INEOS sells some of their stakes. I mean, these are all things to be confirmed. Really, we don't know what it's all going to look like. But yes, what's the latest on that, Owen?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I did see that too about talking about the conflict with the teams, whatever. But that was always going to be, I guess, the case.
Always been a thing, yeah.
A couple other things as well. The Muppeteers have said that once the Sir Jim Ratcliffe 25% stake deal is announced, which, by the way, not going to be today, it's going to be next week now, reportedly there will be statements made about a potential path to majority ownership Again, what that will look like, we'll have to wait and see. But what's also quite interesting, there's been a lot of talk about this 6 to 8 week period that once it's announced, obviously going through Premier League ratification, etc., etc. According to the same report, the assessment period after Sir Jim Ratcliffe's investment is announced is not expected to be as long as 6 to 8 weeks. Some details are believed to have already been completed, so maybe it might be a bit shorter than then, might be a bit actually not as long. So whether or not they have any impact on, immediate stuff they'll do in January, I still don't know. I don't know if they'll rush into it, but it's good to know because the announcement's taken longer than was initially reported. So, I mean, maybe that's why. Maybe that's also why, because they're like, it's not going to take 6 to 8 weeks. That's all bullshit. I don't know. But the key thing is that first part there where the suggestion is once everything's done and sorted, there is going to be a statement made about a path to majority ownership, which, to be honest, if that is true, that's the key thing. Isn't it, Flex? That's the main thing I think the majority of people are looking for. Is it's not an ideal situation. We wanted the Glazers out, whether it's INEOS getting the Glazers, all of the Glazers shares, or whether it was the 9-2 Foundation coming in and buying everything. The overall thing just didn't want the Glazers there. If there can be a statement made or an explanation made that there is a path to majority ownership, that's the key thing. But how explicit do you think they'll be when it comes to that? That's the key part.
Yeah, because also we have to remember that, and we won't like this, but the Glazers will still be their business partners, and because of that, they're not gonna throw them under the bus as aggressively as we would like as fans. We would love to Jim to come out and say this club has failed for far too long. It has to stop, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to end up taking full control of this club, and the Glazers will leave. He can't do that in the world of business because they're still, he still needs to have certain things in place and maintain certain relationships with them, which we don't like. And I don't like it. I'm just saying this is the state of play. That we can't be naive to think that he won't have to maintain certain relationships in order to fulfill what has been mapped out. So we have to remember that. So I'm not expecting anything in terms of too much criticism on the Glazers in public, in terms of statements, because it's just not going to happen, is it? We have to be realistic about that. But we have to just go off the facts. If there is a roadmap to a full buyout or full takeover, then that's all we need. That says it there in black and white over trying to cuss the Glazers out, and we go, yeah, at least he's calling them out. That's not going to happen. He's literally business partners with them. He's had to butter them up this far just to even get 25%. So he ain't going to throw him under the bus in public, is he? Just wouldn't make business sense for him. And just his ambition to what he wants to eventually get, it would harm that. But yeah, I just feel like he has to make that statement though to the fans, and address and show us with some transparency. We've been waiting so long for it, and if he wants to get fans on board to buy into what his vision is and what it is, we need to see it. We need to hear what it is, the conversation and the communication between fans and the board and the Glazers and all of this whole section, investors, has been non-existent. It's been terrible. So fans are going to need something. Not that we are going to believe it all as well, by the way. We're not going to go, oh, that's great, it's all fixed now, he's told us, we'll all calm down. No, we're still going to be very, very cautious about what happens. This is Man United. The Glazers are still involved. A lot of things can still happen or go wrong or might not work, but we need to at least know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it will be interesting to see the language used in whatever statement that they say. I think it'll be kind of similar to those sort of, they've not really even been official press releases, but you remember sort of the first time or something, even before they'd put a bid in, and it was, I think this was August of 2022 maybe, and it was to the Daily Mail or something like that. It was an INEOS spokesperson, and it was essentially, yes, we would be interested in acquiring a stake to Manchester United with a view to long-term full ownership or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but I think it might be similar to kind of that of, yes, INEOS today have acquired 25% of Manchester United with a view for long-term full ownership of the club, something like that. But if you're looking, like you said, for a complete, I guess, manifesto that involves criticizing the Glazers and their mismanagement and the decline and
it's not
all this kind of stuff over United over 2 decades, they're not going to do that because they still have something that INEOS and Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants. And we've seen that they can take no criticism at all. And ultimately, they're still going to be working with each other. So, I mean, you know, like you said, you're not going to become business partners and on the first day just completely poo-poo all over them, even though they're probably thinking it in their minds and probably thinking, 25%, we've overpaid for this. And we don't have, we've got football in control, but what does that even look like? Blah, blah, blah. They're realizing they got to play nice for a few years to buy all their stuff off them. And then eventually, once they've got their stuff, they don't have to play nice anymore. So I think it might be, like you said, it's important that that's explicitly explained to people that, yes, there is a roadmap here. And yes, there is possibility. There's hope. And there's a promise of change. But at the same time, if you're looking for them to really, criticize the Glazers, they're just not going to do it.
Yeah,
and I think we have to be rational and realize why that's not going to happen.
Exactly, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Rob Dawson and Julian Laurens must be on the ESPN podcast. I'm assuming, because I know they're both ESPN. One of them was saying, if not both, it was sort of reported yesterday that John Murtough is expected to leave Man United when Sir Jim Ratcliffe takes over.
It's so funny, this John Murtough stuff, isn't it? Because this one day he's leaving, there's another one, he's thinking of staying. You know what I mean? It's
we'll leave that where it was. Yeah.
It's a very much warring, back and forth of people going. It'd be interesting their sources, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because it's funny where I'd be interested to know who's saying what, because it feels like certainly maybe people more from like the INEOS people incoming is like, hey, we're going to replace him. People are coming in, and maybe from the people that are already in United, so like John Murtough and the recruitment department going, he's going to stay. I think he's, he wants to stay, wants to help out, and I think we all know where that one's going to end up.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a safe bet if you are going to bet. And also a couple of lines that were from Chris Wheeler, which that Andre Onana has been training the last couple of days, so that's positive. But Højlund is a doubt for the game against Everton. Obviously, tomorrow, press conference day, we'll be able to get more of an insight as to how he's doing, because even that's going to bring some complexities. You got a Martial who obviously and actually understandably is way off it, because he just doesn't play anymore, does he? What's his motivation like? How is he, is Martial keeping himself the sharpest of the sharp during this period where he knows he's going to play 10 minutes here, 8 minutes there? We was going to just play Carabao Cup games, but didn't even do that the last time we did it. Because we got smashed off Newcastle. Like, he knows he ain't playing. Is he ready to be called upon to lead the line at Man United? I'd have a lot of doubts about that. I'm not saying he's not professional, but I can't see Martial chomping at the bit, waiting for Højlund to make a hiccup so he can win his place back. I don't see that. So,
well, you never know, Flack. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Everton last season came off the bench. Yeah. I know he started the game. Sorry, he started the game.
Got an assist. Got injured.
Got an assist. Then got injured. Came off, and then Ronaldo scored the winner, didn't he? It was peak Martial. It was peak Martial that game.
Exactly. And again, he was doing well when he played. He was doing well when he played. But now I think we're even past that, because and I kind of get it. It's like, how can you get any river? How can you, he's literally coming on for 8 minutes. He's literally coming on for like 10 minutes here or there. But
you know what he reminds me of as well? He reminds me of, I remember Michael Owen saying that when you're that injury prone, when you're in a game, you're actually almost scared to move or scared to run, because you're like, oh, what's going to go on me? What's going to go on me? And he has like transitioned into this sort of just good hold up play, because that's kind of
not much
all he can do.
Dynamic,
there's not a lot of risk. There's not a lot of risk in that, is there?
And there's not a lot of explosiveness, quick, sharp sprints, running in behind, stop, start. It's all very to feet. So give it to me. I'll link play. I'll win a foul. I'll get, and then I'll set you. Which in some, passages of play, he does offer something different to Højlund. But if we're being honest, that's a big worry. So would Ten Hag bring back Anthony and then put Rashford up front because he's a threat, keep playing Garnacho? I don't know. So if Højlund's out, that is a bad one. But according to Chris Wheeler, he is still a doubt for that game. And lastly, there are a couple of quotes from Erik Ten Hag, I think through MUTV, and he basically said, we are, say, 1/3 through the season. It was a tough start, as we've seen, but I think we are catching up. And from the last 5 games, we've won 4. So we are in a good mood. And I think we are heading in the right direction. He also says before we get into the intense program in December, I think we're building confidence. We're building strong belief, and we are building also some routines. So there's a couple of lines from Erik ten Hag there. He's basically saying he remains optimistic. I mean, don't expect him to say otherwise. But
rubbish, we're going to lose everything.
Yeah, but it's all good saying that. But obviously, we have to see this on the pitch, and these next batch of Premier League games are certainly going to tell us a lot about Man United and where we are, or they'll just confirm some of our sort of negative vibes. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you for watching. Press conference day tomorrow. Heads are turning towards Everton. Any news that comes out, obviously, we will be across it. So we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Take care, guys. Peace.